Jordan Lemon. Alexis Pratt, Joshua Snyder, and Sean Reeves. And now, Certificate of Achievement for the highest average for English 1 for my first block. This is the Jordan Lemon, everybody. Actually, they call me, but it's okay. Thank you so much. For my first block, we have Carrie Somerson. Carrie, congratulations. I am so nervous right now, I don't know. For my second block, we have Amoriana Brown. Next, we have Samuel Holloway.
Okay, now it's my turn. So for Ms. Keller's English 2 classes, my first block student is Denia Williams. My third block student is Haley Frankel. My fourth block student is Tatia Wright.
Hello again, everyone. And I hate when people doubt that. Yes, oh, it's nice.
All right, the first block student who has the highest average in my class, English 2, is Jermaine Jameson. My third block student who has the highest average in my English 2 class is Kwamel Benjamin. And lastly, my fourth block student who has the highest average in my English 2 class, in all of my classes, not just my fourth block class, but overall, highest score is Amaya Schoen.
For English 3, I'm gonna do it in reverse. So for fourth block, I have Ajane Ritter, and I have Dennis Q. For third block, I have Maya Fraser. And first block is a tie game. But these two students, they had the highest average among all the blocks. Among all the blocks. So it's Jaden Clark,
going to let them introduce themselves and read a little bit to you from their works. And I have some apologies to make first. But you know you can speak things into existence. Alright. So I made a mistake and said Dr. Michelle Wilson Green. So I apologize for that. But look you on the way. Alright. Okay? Alright, so I apologize for that. I didn't do my due diligence. And to Miss India Washington, right? I went by the name on your book and not by your present name. So I apologize for that also. Alright, but right now what I want to do is to have them introduce themselves after I read one sentence about each person, and then they're going to read a little bit to you from their books, and that will give you time to continue with the rest of the program, because we would like for you to look at our museum, and we have students who plan to do a living literature and play some games. Okay? So, first I'm going to introduce Ms. Michelle Allen Aiken Wilson Green. She is a retired elementary school principal. Then I want to introduce to you Ms. India President. She is a native of Cross, South Carolina. She's an evangelist, a mentor, a speaker, an author, and a stylist, and the owner of a boutique. Then I also want to introduce to you Dr. Inslee Lemon. Ms. Lemon is a semi-retired educator who works for Orangeburg County Adult Education. She is affiliated with many organizations, and she can tell you about those. We were also supposed to have Ms. Evelyn Pringle, but she cannot make it with us tonight due to illness. So I do want to say thank you to her for her willingness to participate. And she was also nice enough to send us some of her books. Okay. So I decided that the first 5 parents who signed in can get a free copy of her book. So we have Annika Bookart. Here you go. Peter Washington. Dante Wright. Oh, okay. Lisa Myers. And Crystal Jefferson. And now I present to you our authors.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let me say that again. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That's better. That's better. I would like to recognize Orangeburg County District Office officials and staff if they're in here, the Lake Marion and the Technology Center head officials, staff, teachers, parents, and students. It is a pleasure for me to be a part of this program given by the English department. I would like to give kudos to Ms. Keller and her co-workers as well as students. A Cup of Lee's Tea is a book of encouragement and motivation. I was inspired to write this because I wanted to reflect on different situations in life. And in my book, on page 25, and I'm going to read it, it says, I can excel. I can excel if I apply myself. I can excel if I persevere. I can excel if I maintain motivation. I can excel if I keep positive thoughts. I can excel if I work faithfully and diligently. I can excel if I firmly believe in myself. I can excel if I love myself. I can excel excel if I think for myself. I can excel if I grow spiritually, physically, and educationally. I can excel. I truly can excel. Now, with that in mind, I know I taught some students in here, so will you please raise your hand if I taught you, or if I had some kind of connection with you as co-workers, will you please raise your hand? Thank you so much. In other words, you did excel in your own way. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone. And as always, it's always a joy to come back to Lake Marion High School. All 4 of my children graduated from Lake Marion. 1 from Holly Hill Robbins and the other 3 from Lake Marion. So it's always good to be here. I would like to thank Ms. Keller for inviting me. I can remember my oldest son used to always say how he got through her class. He said he would just love on her and just do everything because her class was so hard. I'm going to talk to you just for a minute about my book. I wrote this book, Anything Can Happen, back in 2008, and it was after losing my oldest son. His trial the trial for his murder was held in Lexington County. Solicitor Donnie Myers was the solicitor over his case, and some of you may have heard of who Donnie Myers is. He is known in the nation as Dr. Death because he has put more people on death row than anyone else. So he did the trial for my son, and the trial got so much notoriety that I asked Lexington County if they would give me the transcript to write a second book. And they did. They gave me the transcript of the trial, and it was a box full about that much. And I wanted to share with other parents who had not went through the judicial system, and not only parents, but just individuals in general, of what it's like to sit there behind a solicitor in court for the murder of your child. Now, let me tell you what was really interesting. So I wrote this book. The first one was entitled, Anything Can Happen. Once I got the transcript and I began writing, this one was entitled, Anything Can Happen, The Trial and Now. So I began, and it was hard for me to go through the transcript to write because I had to go back through everything that happened at the trial. But I did, and this book is so different from the first one because the first one told a lot that had happened and the journey to healing, how you reach healing, how you navigate through grief, reach healing, and to wholeness. So this book I did in a different tone, and it basically told about the trial. I gave a recap of the first book, and it talked about the trial and where we are in life at this day. I told what I was doing at this point in life, my oldest daughter, my middle son, and my youngest daughter. I refer to that in this book. I was supposed to release this book the first week in March of 2016. It was supposed to be released on that Saturday. I had a venue already planned and everything was right. We were going to release this book the first week in March of 2016. And on that Saturday before, I got a call that my other son had been murdered. So officially, this book has never been released. And I've been asked about it, but it was something that I couldn't even look at it. I couldn't do anything with it. And when I did write it, it was different than the first one, so you could get it through Amazon. So I've had people who have gotten it. And it was interesting when Ms. Keller asked me, to do it. She said you can do either one. And I was going to talk a little bit about this book, but it's been around for a while. So this book has basically never been released. And it's amazing because at the end, I tell what everybody's doing, and I told that my son was doing good and he was navigating his way through life, and he was murdered before the book was ever released. So I'm just going to read a little bit to you from Anything Can Happen, the trial and now. And like I said, I was given the transcript from the entire trial, which was amazing to go through because it had every motion, everything in it that happened during the trial. So the first chapter is a recap of Anything Can Happen. The scripture at the top of that chapter is, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth be removed and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. My first book, Anything Can Happen, powerfully defined my journey, a journey that entailed not only seemingly insurmountable despair in my life, but my journey to healing and to wholeness. Yes, I did reach wholeness. It started with a tragic sequence of events. First, the death of my brother in '92, then a chain of other deaths in my family from 2002 to 2006. These included my father, my mother, husband, best friend, and one of my children. During this time, I learned that a loss could be experienced in ways other than death. For example, when trust is lost, it can affect your life more than one can imagine. A loss can come in the form of a health challenge of a loved one or a failure to believe in oneself, or even a feeling of disappointment in what we thought was supposed to be a normal flow of life. A loss, no matter how it's manifested, is a loss and can be experienced in so many ways. I learned and further realized that what I thought was the absolute only way for my life was not God's way for me. My life was my life. My family was my family, and my journey was my journey. I also learned that not all periods of life can be defined. Circumstances in our life are not always clear. Circumstances in our lives are not always understandable. From experiencing the role of caretaker for elderly parents and seeing my oldest son being sent to war in Iraq and returning home only to be murdered in the United States of America. I could not predict what was to come next, nor could I control the future. I had to hold on to God's mighty, unchanging hand. In book 1, I clearly showed how trusting and believing in God was my only way to wholeness. Oh yes, throughout my process, I learned many lessons. I went from thinking that there could be a perfect utopian life to realizing that actually life happens and that anything can happen in all of our lives. So that's the beginning of Anything Can Happen.
Hey y'all, hey. So let me first say, I just got these braces not long ago. I don't know who told me to get braces at almost age 40, so I may sound a little funny. I'm still getting used to them. But I am India's president. Thank you, Ms. Bella, for reaching out to me to stand before you today to share a little bit about my book. Let me go back a little bit. So I now go by the name Lady E. Reason being, because at a point in my life, I cannot call myself a lady. I didn't carry myself as a lady. I didn't do ladylike things. But as I grew and matured, I completely turned my whole life around. So now I go by Lady E. And this is how I actually began to write in my book. My childhood wasn't all bad, but I went through a lot, and writing was my outlet. I wasn't a very talkative person, so writing would help me express exactly how I felt. I could say whatever I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, with paper and pen. And that's what I began to do. I published this book in 2015, but a lot of this is from my high school days. I kept most of my notebooks, and I just compiled all of my poetry together. So my book is called From the Vessel. It is available on Amazon and Kindle. It's under Washington. I was married then, but it's called From the Vessel. And I actually got the title, I came up with the title because it's truly from my heart. All of my poems are either my personal experiences or experiences of someone that I knew closely. Like, these are my real thoughts. So that's why I call it From the Vessel. So I'm going to read 2 poems. My first poem is going to be entitled My Father's Love. I could hear her screaming all the way down the hall. I watched you hit her until she fall. You called her out her name like she was nothing. I grew even angrier because she was my everything. How could you do this to her, the woman who bore your kids? Now our family is broken. Look at what you did. Is this how a man would treat me, knocking me to my knees? God, please don't let this happen. God, please don't let this be. I became angry, promiscuous and all. If I didn't get help, a man would be my downfall. I searched for love, the love you never gave. Will someone ever love me? Would I ever be saved? Now I have a son, and I'll raise him to be better than you. I'll never allow him to put his hands on a woman or put her what you put my mom through. I searched through my relationships, looking for Mr. Right. Now I'm the cause of many failures I always wanted to fight. I picked up your bad habits. This is what you've shown. I was hurt, depressed, confused, and I felt all alone. But I pulled it all together and became strong for my mother. I made better decisions so I could look out for my younger brother. I'm a little afraid that he'll grow up to be just like you. There has to be a better way. God, please see us through. Surely God has made a way, and he will lead us to freedom. Mom said I should establish a relationship with my father, but I feel I don't need him. Now that I am older, I found forgiveness in my heart. We've all learned some valuable lessons. Now we have a brand new start. Called Fear. There was a knock at the door, and I stood in despair. A stern voice yelled at me, I know you're in there. Was it who I thought it was? Was he really here? I peeked out the window, and there he was, Fear. Afraid to answer the door because I wanted him no more. He yelled at me again, you're who I'm longing for. With my back against the door, I wondered to let him in. We used to be so close when we were friends. Please let me come in, he said. I need to talk to you. It's been a while since we talked, and I've really missed you. I screamed back at him, no, you can't come in. Fear, you can't live here anymore. I found a new friend. What he said to me with anger in his tone, how dare you leave me out here all alone. I said to him, run along. This place is no longer your home. My new friend is Grace, and she took your place. The place where you used to be, she filled that space. So Fear, you're no longer welcome. So leave me alone, for Grace has rescued me and made this house a home. Thank you.
Please give our authors another round of applause. And I want to say thank you so much for making our literacy night a success. What we want to do right now is I have a table with at least 5 of your books that we ordered for you as for you all to go to their tables and you can talk to them and ask them questions. And they can sign a book for you and give it to you if you like. And we also have games that Ms. Smith has put together for you all to play games if you like. And we also have living literature. So we'd like for you all to visit our living literature section. At the back wall, we have a literature museum, and on the outside wall, a literature museum. So we'd like for you all to visit that, especially parents, so your children can tell you about their pictures. And
Mr. Glover, do you want to give remarks before, because once they do all of that, then we're going to serve them refreshments on the way out the door, and we'll be done.
Thank you all for coming. To our authors, hats off. Thank y'all so much for coming and taking time out of your schedule. Parents, we certainly appreciate you. This is a community school, and we welcome you. Our doors are always open. We really, really need your support in order for us to make the moves and the gains that we want to achieve here at Lake Marion. Ms. Warren gave a great presentation to you all about our end-of-course tests, our end-of-course exams. As you may know, currently the state says that we are an unsatisfactory school. I do not believe that. Our teachers do not believe that. We will be better. We will show and we will prove that we are not an unsatisfactory school. But we need your support also. On those end-of-course days, we need those children to go to sleep at night. We need them to go to sleep and come here ready to do their very best. Because that end-of-course exams mean an awful lot to us reaching the goals that we have set. My goal is good. We're not going to be below average. We're not going to be unsatisfactory. Average is okay, but I don't think Lake Marion is average. So we're shooting for at least good, okay? So we need your support. We need your help. When we have EOC blitzes, EOC reviews, we need our students to be there. We need them to be there so that we can give them every extra boost that they can possibly receive. If they know study tips were given, listen to them. Take those words of advice because it means so much to us raising our scores, okay? But lastly but not least, my hats off to our English department. You all put together a great night.